Alright guys, I have no idea what the fuck that song is. I'm actually sick of it. But we are getting back into the swing of things. Lobby is up for Frozen Temple. Best of 3 losers match. Protoss versus Zerg. MaNa versus SortOf. And truth be told, I don't know how this is going to go. Again, everything kind of leans towards saying Zerg should win this, just based off of tweets and remarks I've seen from friends who have been streaming. I don't know if that'll be the case, but we're going to get to see firsthand.
Yes, we are. Yeah, I feel like the... Wait, what did Protoss get here? They got a nerf on their Adept, so they can't scout as well or see ahead when they take an army engagement. They got a buff to the carriers, so that's what we've been seeing. But it doesn't feel like...
Well, okay, let's talk about like the buff to the carriers, because for me, in my opinion, the carriers... It's almost like a side grade rather than like an upgrade or a downgrade from their old status. Because on one hand, like they're cheaper and more cost effective than ever, which is cool. But at the same time, they used to be able to dump their interceptors, which could be devastating. So I'm still, I don't know. Like when we saw carriers last time, it was kind of funny because it came off the back end of weird oracles and other things anyways. They do look like, though, for the most part, Protoss Golden Armada status is still there. Like, once you get to a point in the game, it's almost impossible for the Zerg to win. But I think getting to that point is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and nothing about the carrier change fixed that problem. There's no other Stargate change that helped, or like the removal of the fleet beacon as a requirement or something extreme like that. So, what else did they get? That's it, right?
Pardon me? Sorry, I was coughing.
Well, the Tempest changed too, but no one cares about the Tempest either.
Well, so we haven't seen it in action. I'm actually really interested about this, right? So the Tempest, for those who don't know, their proposed change about a month ago when we saw them first was like this sort of miniature storm that would sit on the map. That's not the case anymore. Now it's like this charged ability. It like takes 4 seconds to charge up, kind of like a Yamato cannon almost, and then stuns everything in an area. But we don't know how big that area is, if it's effective, if it's worth it. The range was nerfed quite a bit too. I don't know where Tempests sit. But so far, it seems like people have been not using them.
Yeah, not using them, and same problem as the carriers. Which, okay, maybe if they ever change, maybe if they're like really good, you still have to get to that unit in a lot of the units. And I can't think of anything else that has been changed. But the point is, it feels like Zerg's the one that got the got the units that are already tough to deal with buffed. So that's unfortunate for the Protoss. They got the Banelings buffed, and they are going to get typical hooks, so there's no question of like, well, only if they get the upgrade, then they're going to get the upgrade. They're going to go for Banelings. And the Hydras were buffed. Like, I like that the Hydras are making it back in overall matchups, because the Hydra's kind of a cool unit.
Yeah.
And I like the split of their upgrades, because before the split, they were way too good and too fast. But they might still be too good, even with that split upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions to be asked. By the way, thank you, Remove, for the 1 bit. Cheer 1, awesome win, great round. It was a close one, but you pulled it off. Thank you,
Penny. I hate Penny. No, it's regular Penny. Never mind.
It looks like less than a penny, isn't it? Oh, it might be 1 penny. Okay, anyways. ESCM reset for 22 months. Of course, during that last game, we had SortOf sub brand new. Eshlock Leonator reset for 20 months with a heart, and hopefully that catches everybody. I've been really bad at grabbing everything on the go, but hopefully you guys, we haven't missed anybody. And if we have, please know that we appreciate you and we're sorry. But
yeah, everyone playing Rifkin.
I said we, not me. Hello. Did Void Rays get a speed buff? Yes, Kettle Punch. Void Rays actually did get a speed buff, but it was so minor. I don't know how big of a deal it is, to be honest.
Also,
again,
Void Ray.
Yeah, also Void Ray, exactly. We'll talk more on that in a moment, because in the bottom right, this is a guy who's certainly willing to accommodate Stargate play. Maybe we'll see him open with one. Either way, in the bottom right, it's the red Protoss MaNa.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he is SortOf.
Okay, so SortOf we're expecting to go Roach Hydra and along that path, or maybe Ling Hydra, but the point is Hydras. For MaNa, though, I want to point out this is a guy who has used disruptors in the past. This is a guy who's gone Golden Armada status, and this is a guy who's proxied with cheese. What I really love about players such as MaNa is, while maybe he's not the favorite to win this based on balance or anything like that, he's my favorite to show something different than what we saw last time we saw PvZ. And for my sake, I am hoping that it's going to be something with Stargate. I think right now, was it when Drogo pulled out that sort of what looked like desperation triple Oracle stuff, like, it was funny yet kind of effective and bought him the time to get to that late game. If MaNa can do anything along those same lines, I would really like to see that.
What the fuck was that? Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, like, it sounded like Sombra's hack ultimate, which I guess maybe it was, but like 10 times as loud as other sounds. It freaked me out, man. The computers were dying or something. Okay, anyways.
Okay.
Anyways, yes, talking about Drogo and Oracles. Yeah, that was so weird. I mean, would I mind if, like, Stargate was the best composition, the best structure to go for, as opposed to, let's say, the Robo was, like, the best structure to go for beforehand? Robo's by that council, I suppose. But anyway, I guess I wouldn't mind, but I would like it that people not only experimented with the Stargate, but also experimented with the regular units to see what would happen against the new Zerg, basically. And people are, and that's where I think we're seeing the most complaints, is basically like, well, I'm doing the same exact thing, and Zerg's doing kind of similar things, but they got the buffs and I didn't, which is...
Yeah.
Actually, when you put it like that, it seems like a totally legitimate, like, reason to whine, like, poor Protoss.
Well, actually, so for me, this reminds me a lot of watching State. I know that's a name we haven't really seen in a while, but State at the start of Legacy of the Void was streaming quite a bit, and most importantly, State was doing old Heart of the Swarm builds and was losing a lot because of it. But if you watched his stream, there was this point where he finally said, screw it, let's try new stuff, and he started winning, right? So some of the complaints may actually just be biased from players who haven't tried swapping over to new things, who haven't tried doing things other than what they've been doing for the last 2 years, type thing.
Yeah. It's so harsh, though, because Protoss, okay, Legacy of the Void launch, yes, just try something different, and they did, and it ends up working out. Protoss wasn't, like, you know, always losing, basically. But for here, I really feel like... Because you didn't ask the same thing of the Zerg, I suppose, is the problem, which is why I'm totally on, like, the Protoss side if they're complaining. You didn't ask the Zerg to change things up. You asked them to do what they were doing, except do it a little bit better. But Protosses are the ones that have to change it up. Like, it's pretty cruel to ask. So, I mean, maybe it doesn't actually matter balance-wise. Like, long-term, everyone figures it out and everything calms the hook down. But right now, I feel the complaint's totally, like, worthwhile to listen to. The Dark Templar build is not too surprising. That's the thing I was going to joke about, basically, it being MaNa. This guy likes his former teammate hero too much, sometimes I feel.
By the way, thank you to Maxwell JZ46 for the Twitch Prime sub. New sub hype. As the Link's gonna dart around inside the base, there's not really a lot they can do. MaNa does have a adept on hold position, so that's nice to see. Picking off that Overlord was also very important, not just because he didn't want to scout the extra gateways and everything else coming down, but it would stop him from transforming into a pickup Overlord and possibly distributing the Lings in the main.
It's like a pickup truck. Pickup Overlord.
Yeah, more or less. Man, it's really windy over here on the side of the map. What are these bushes? I don't remember them being so animated before.
I've never paid attention. Thank you for pointing that out.
But look at them, they're like freaking out. Like, how windy is it?
It's weird. It's like the wind is going different directions for different plants. What's happening here?
It's a dervish or whatever the little mini whirlwinds are called.
Ah, good vocabulary.
It's my guess. I don't know. Okay, Warp Prism's gonna warp in some adepts on the other side of the map. No, excuse me, DT's straight up. So he's gonna go into the base, and if there's detection, turn him into Archons. We've seen this move all too many times, and it's really effective, honestly. But it is worth noting that SortOf did scout, and he saw that this was coming. The Dark Shrine was not a surprise, so I like that MaNa just right away makes the Archons instead of wasting time with the DTs. Probably guessing that, like, yeah, SortOf knew what he saw with that scout, and he wasn't gonna mess around.
Yeah. Oh, that Spore Crawler is gonna do some damage already. The Warp Prism was nerfed, by the way.
Ever so slightly. 20 health off.
Yeah. Speaking of differences between
that pickup range, though. I like that, like, you know what, it's totally fine that we can pick up from, like, half the map away, but let's take 20 health off the Warp Prism. That'll settle things out.
I do wonder which one the Protosses would have preferred if you're gonna have to nerf the Warp Prism.
Yeah, maybe. Shout out to Fiji Walter, by the way. Thank you for the sub. It's actually a great name. It's a Cuban Pete's.
You know,
King of the beat.
I kind of forgot that a lot of our talk at the summit was about the Warp Prism. Because
I'm salty about it. Can we not bring this up, please?
I just said that, like, I don't know why the Warp Prism had to be nerfed, and I remember how many complaints we had to hear.
Yeah, I mean, sitting around the round table discussing things with other pro players and David Kim was really cool. I really thought my suggestion was gonna hit home with it, though. I had suggested that what they do is they don't overly nerf it, but just make it less shields and more health, so that like you're not worried about this thing regenerating half of its health while it chills far away.
Oh, I agree. I thought yours was a good idea, but I also didn't see such an extreme need to touch the Warp Prism. Like, is it funny that the Orcons could be picked up from, like, so far away? Yes,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny looking, but it didn't actually break the game like everyone thought it would when Legacy Board was first released.
Maybe having some troubles on the other side of the map. MaNa's already remaking a new Cybercore, anticipating this going down. There's also a hole in the wall presently with the Adapt out of position. There we go, repositions itself. Mothership Core, I didn't realize wasn't made through all of this, so it comes on out, pops in, and throws down that overcharge. Other side of the map, there's a pretty big push, but that's a hell of a lot of queens. Unfortunately, though, Archons don't care if you're queen or not. If you're made of goo, they're gonna squish you to bits.
Well, this
nice
is
pickup. Nice pickup on that Archon to keep it alive, by the way. Getting really low, pulls it back.
Okay, okay, this is what I expected. For a second there, I was like, nothing but Hydras left, Archons and Immortals thrown away. Like, maybe MaNa can do something, but this is what I expected, seeing how his build was scouted, his harassment didn't do anything, and sort of was well prepared for the final attack.
Yeah, I mean, that initially looked pretty cool for MaNa, to be honest, but Hydras ended up beating that back in really devastating ways. Now down to 30 army supply, not looking so hot. I mean, charge lots are still going to serve a purpose versus Hydras. They're not going to do too badly, but the fact that SortOf's getting a Baneling Nest now means the Zealots will not be so bad going forward. Also, real quick shout out to Flavored Crayon. Yum. Thank you for that Twitch Prime sub.
Like those smell markers, but edible. Grant. Or hopefully edible.
Yeah, but maybe it's not flavored in like an edible way. It's just flavored, period.
Yeah, that would be very mean. By the way, speaking of that Baneling Nest, this is kind of what I was going to bring up, but then other things happened. But, like, you know, the old compositions was Ling Hydra or, like, Ling Baneling Ravager. Sometimes you could afford Hydra Baneling too, but the point was, like, you're going to use the 2 units that got the buff because you could use them before, and now they're just better. So it makes a lot of sense. They're going to see Baneling Hydra, and there's, like, well, this is not just the fact that MaNa's already kind of screwed out of this game, but this just looks like a really good composition.
So this is where I really like Force Field's. Oh my god, it's so loud. Legada! Alright, Force Field's going to keep a lot of the Hydras back, but with their new range, it's not so difficult to shoot over the Force Fields. A lot of these sentries are already going down. The Archon's dissipating, in this fight not going to go in the favor of MaNa. In fact, this might be game. GG SortOf takes game number 1.
By the way, that timed out perfectly with the Overwatch game ending sound behind me.
Nice.
Good job, MaNa.
Charlie Bitmay just got the top donator slot of the day with $5. Top Korean caster, if you will. It says, "Hi, Chris Drotos, Canada. Love you. Everyone donates." Oh, Canada. He was spelling Canada. Dijv, sub for 17 months. I can't say that name. My bad. I'm so sorry. But thank you for the $5 donation. Nice to see. Good stuff, man. Gonna wait on the next map, though. MaNa and SortOf, I think, already did vetoes, though, so this should hopefully be made pretty quick.
And those apotheoses can't be made. So apparently the DreamHack's going on right now. If you guys didn't know.
DreamHack Winter, yeah.
Yeah, because StarCraft isn't there, but it's going on right now, and apparently Overwatch stream just like it just should have died, I guess. Like I've been confused because no one's like said anything on Twitter, but now I see people like live tweeting the game. That sucks.
That reminds me of like legit early day StarCraft. For like
yeah, exactly. Like that one time where like someone like ran into the pole outside of the MLG or something like that, and then it was late for like 10 hours. Good God. That's unfortunate.
Well, we're going to get into New Gettysburg next. You join off me here. I guess you got to join the channel, by the way. That's why they're having trouble inviting you.
Oh. I was going to say, they've only ever invited me once before.
Oh, nice. I also just got an email regarding all the details for the IEM cast later tonight, so that'll be happening at 1 a.m. Pacific. The IEM, how do I even say that? Like Gyeongi? Gyeongi?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Gyeonggi? Giggity giggity?
No.
Point is, the IEM qualifiers are going to be happening tonight at 1 a.m. Pacific, and I will be here with Zombie Grub Casting.
Probably just Gungi. They don't actually have the Hangul version. Psh, foreigners.
All right, well, folks, we're getting into game number 2 of the losers match. At the bottom right side, we got standing up for Team Liquid, the Red Protoss, MaNa.
Standing up or sitting down?
He's sitting down on the toilet, but that's why he's standing up now, because he's done.
Oh, okay. In the bottom left is the blue Zerg. He is SortOf.
He's done sitting on the toilet. Now it's time for him to put SortOf in the toilet. Give him a bit of a swirly, if you will.
That's mean. Who does that?
You know, there's a lot of stereotypes for bullying on TV that I never, ever saw in high school. And I mean, I was part of being bullied, too, and I never, ever saw any kids thrown into a locker. I never saw anyone in the bathroom getting swirly or even heard of it. Like, there was nothing... Maybe Canadian high schools are just really lame. I don't know. But, like, I never saw any instances of, like, what would be classic TV bullying.
Yeah. Can't neither confirm nor deny. My high school was really nice. Like, literally everyone was just nice, and I didn't hear about bullying. This is cool. MaNa's done this before. This has nothing to do with the new patch.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with the fact that New Gettysburg is the map.
Well, this actually, more importantly, the foreign New Gettysburg is the map. So real quick, because people brought this up before, reminding everybody that the new maps in the new map pool will take place in the round of 8. But because all the groups started before the patch hit, and before the new map pool was released, that's why we're still playing the old maps. But there's a Korean version of this map they used for GSL that they edited, so you could not do this. However, with the foreign version, for whatever reason, you totally can. So this cannon rush is going to get underway, and it's kind of hype because it's not something you see too often. But this brings me back to, like, if you can't beat what's in the patch, beat them before the patch. And
he did this before, so he doesn't reveal that the cannons are down until the hatchery is finished.
That's the attack here. He's not trying to kill the pylons. He just doesn't want to auto-attack and give SortOf the ability to cancel. Because if you look at SortOf's vision, of course, he has no idea this is happening. It's a very small detail, but it's a very important one.
Yeah. He even had to seriously injure his pylon a little bit more than I think he wanted to, but there it is. SortOf's going for a roach run. The thing about the cannon rush is not only if you scout it, you have a lot more drones to defend it. There's so many more options to either get around or kill it. Ravagers exist with Corrosive Bile now. Ling drops exist to counterattack and like immediately punish them for going for cannons.
If MaNa does this correctly, SortOf will never take that third base either.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's always questionable if it's enough damage, even if they deny like natural third and fourth.
Well, what's really alarming is MaNa, because that probe died, won't see the Lings coming down the middle of the map. He's got to build this pylon here to buy time. If he doesn't, it's too late. He's got no cannons going down. Oh my god.
Yeah, 3, 5 Lings. I guess 2 more on the way. That would have been annoying, not devastating. Not like Overlord drops with Speedlings.
Okay, so if the probe over here was still alive, by the way, he could have built a cannon and shut down this base too. But with the Adept coming out, this won't get too out of hand, I think. And he should be able to hold on back at home. But this got messy because he had no cannons back on his side of the field.
Yeah, he really was trying to go without having those defensive cannons, which just barely ends up working out. He's going to lose the Adept, but again, only 2 4 Lings is 2 more again are on the way. It's not that difficult of a trickle in. Actually, those might be Roaches? No, those were Lings. He did build Roaches. There's 2 of them.
Well, the Mothership Core is going to help chase back anything in the middle, and the Adept's going to escort the probe over. I think he wants to really get here and get the cannons down before that creep spreads, but I don't think he'll meet the timing requirement for it.
Yeah, and now that Ravagers are out, it should be a lot more difficult to get cannons down and finished.
Yeah, he should be able to clean up the cannons too. Corrosive Biles are pretty good.
Yep.
That was overcharged, which is kind of funny to consider.
Yeah, that's I think what he's planning on. SortOf trying to get more queens here. 2 more queens should be enough with the Biles to clean everything up.
The Mothership Core in the past would have a very interesting dynamic with the Queen, but with the range buff, a Queen's supposed to win. Thanks to those Adept shots, however, that wasn't the case. Overcharge goes on the weaker pylon, and more importantly, the farther back pylon. He's also shutting down mining in the natural base. MaNa might not be doing so hot.
Drunk. Oh, on the hot scale, I'm a 10, baby.
MaNa might not be doing so great on the attack, but he's doing great back at home in the economy.
Yeah, his continued attack was not over-dedicated. It was just enough to be scary. and do just enough damage. It sort of never had that moment of just like, okay, well now I clean up the drone or clean up the cannons, and then I drone really hard, and now I'm back in it.
Yeah.
MaNa's actually been doing a great job balancing the act of being, defending any type of push and making sure SortOf didn't just out-drone him.
I really like the Stargate follow-up to this for a couple of different reasons, but one of the bigger ones is that there's not that many queens out, and actually getting to the third base, you can't bring a queen from the main to help defend. That sort of thing is kind of an interesting follow-through.
Yeah.
Henman is the one who just donated the $10 to let Grub tell us all that she's a 10 out of 10 on the hot scale. Says, you guys are awesome. Thanks for the quality streaming. Thank you for the $10. That covers your PC bong cost for today.
I already had that covered, but it appreciated nonetheless.
Oh, so what you're saying is you don't need that half of the donation? Okay, cool, thanks.
I got $35 today from streaming.
Wow, that's actually more than we get on average from BaseTradeTV. Wow.
Yeah, because people were so sad I wasn't, I didn't have my Thanksgiving, obviously.
Aww. 35 pity dollars. They're there.
Pity dollars. I was like legitimately wondering if I could find some place that I could buy mashed potatoes, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen mashed potatoes.
Some sort of like American restaurant that just serves turkey like once a year.
Like seriously, the American restaurants are all like fast food or Italian, right? Like mashed potatoes is really, I guess it's Irish. No, potatoes are Irish. I don't know.
Well, apparently there's a vote to fire me in chat. I don't feel like I've missed a lot of the action in this game, guys, but oh well.
Oh. Ooh.
That sounded like one of those door stoppers that goes like, boom. Like when
yeah, that's what it sounded like. It wasn't it, but it did sound like that.
I would play with those for like hours on end, man.
Okay.
All right, so
when you were like a child, right? Like not right now.
Yeah, sure. Is it weird to do it as an adult? Okay. Yeah, definitely as a kid.
Imagine you playing with your cat too, like boing boing. Boing.
Yeah. Hey, Millie, look at this, boing. I spent like an hour trying to get her to do it. She'll never do it because cats don't do tricks. God damn it. All right, big adept warping on the other side of the field. The warp prism can still go towards the main, but SortOf's on Hydras. I don't know how much trouble this would be. In the past, adepts were like abusively gross versus Hydras, but honestly, that range bonus has seemed to help out a ton.
Only if he gets the upgrade. So that's a problem.
No, there we go.
He also has everything protecting the Hydras.
The Queen's actually going to be in a bit of trouble. They do get some transfuses for the first wave of adepts. The next wave are already on the way. More warp-ins as well as MaNa continues to run sort of ragged. These are the type of moves you need to do, I guess, to get past that Hydra problem later on. Cannons into lots and lots and lots of adepts. Adepts in every base, frankly, and SortOf is bleeding out and hemorrhaging drones like crazy. Queens do finally pick up the warp prism, so that'll help alleviate some of the problems, but the fact still remains. There's a lot of adepts on this side of the field, and taking on the roaches, taking on the queens, not a problem for MaNa.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be game. If SortOf makes all of his units 30 seconds earlier, he might have just been able to hold. Like, imagine that would probably be the warp prism dead. And the adept's dead as well. Like that's
Oracle. There's no anti-air.
That just cuts it right there, and SortOf's able to continue recovering from early game cannon rush damage, but he was just a little bit too late to making the units.
Yeah, down 33 drones. The Oracle catches all the retreating drones too. Queen gonna come into the fight. The adepts are finally maybe whittled down as the Hydras begin to spawn, but even though there's 4 bases up, SortOf's mining is abysmal, frankly.
Yeah. If he had kept 40 drones alive, I think he might be able to recover, but going down below 30...
MaNa keeps coming back to the main, but SortOf has long since abandoned the idea of taking drones in the main.
Yeah. SortOf really just maybe hoping that Hydra's going to be as overpowered as everyone says, but he can't afford them.
I didn't realize top of all the drone kills, about 3 Overlords have died, so that supply maximum for SortOf is actually really low. Not that he's hitting it, but seriously, 80 supply max isn't good. GG's get called, though. And before we tab out, what was the total kill count of drones in that game? 49. Damn. Alright, guys, it's been about 20 minutes since our last break. We're going to go to a small commercial while we get game number 3 up. We'll see you soon. Alright guys, we're back, but only for a brief moment as we get into the countdown. You can already hear ticking away. Frost on deck for SortOf versus MaNa. Things are tied up 1 apiece, and now we get to see what strategy reigns supreme for the final game in this losers match. We do want to emphasize, though, there is one best of 3 remaining behind this. The winner of this will go on to fight against Kelazur for the very last spot in the group, as all this does lead to that round of 8 grand finals for top dogs. But more on that in a moment. Bottom left side of the map, playing for Team Liquid. Turns out cannons and adepts are his thing. It's MaNa.
In the top right says the blue Zerg. He is SortOf, and Hydras are his thing. He loves them. Tries to get to them. Doesn't always work out.
No. Now, there's an interesting question that was brought up earlier. What's the prize pool for this? And I actually didn't know, so I went to look it up, and it's surprisingly not too massive. It's a nice prize pool, don't get me wrong, but I thought with the players of this caliber and the viewership we're getting, hello, what's up, 4,000 people? That doesn't happen too often anymore. The prize pool for this is $500 for first place, $250 for second, and $125 for third and fourth. So about $1,000, not too bad.
Yeah. Well, Frost is not going to be a Cannon Rush possibility, so MaNa has to do something different. It's usually Adept all in or DT all in, but we already saw MaNa try the DT thing and did not work.
Well, it was less a DT thing though, more an Archon thing.
Well, I mean, okay, I guess. But, like, you have to get the DTs to get the Archons first.
Well, so I bring this point up, though, not because I'm trying to say you're wrong, but I am curious, like, was that a game that got shut down because of scouting? Like, if MaNa didn't get scouted so early with that Overlord, would he have gone with DTs? Or was that always going to be just straight to Archons?
Oh, I think he actually tries DTs if he isn't scouted. And then he goes into Archons, sure. But the DTs, like, the thing about DT builds is that, you know, they scout, they're scouted, turn them to Archons. That's, like, literally the best you can do. That's not like, well, that's, you know, that's even. That's what I wanted to do anyway. That just is the best you can do of a poor situation. Yeah. Sometimes they get massive kills, and that's awesome for the Protoss, but very rarely. More often is what we saw happen, which is MaNa just constantly denied at every turn.
Ooh, well, MaNa's been hiding the probe up here. I'm really curious what he plans to do, if this will be a proxy for a Stargate or something. I mean, it's a bit late if it is, so maybe just a pylon and that's it?
I think he's just going to try and scout for the third base. Because he had taken here, or he, like, you know, waits a good minute and just is like, oh, wait, it's not over here, let's check another place. So confirms, and might try and go to the main, or leaves and sort of lets him. Okay.
So just reminding people, this is on the new patch of the game. I know there's some questions because yesterday we cast something that was on the old patch of the game, but this is all new patch, all up-to-date stuff. So Adepts have limited vision, Batlings have more health, Blood Rays apparently have more speed, you name it.
Yep.
I still haven't played any ladder matches for this just yet. I'm kind of holding off until like the patch settles, so to speak, but I really want to see how my really stupid, and I want to emphasize stupid, turtle battlecruiser strategies work on the new patch.
Probably as well as it did before.
Well, what's interesting was there was a clip on Reddit, you guys may have seen it, Nathanius. Now granted, he had beaten the guy to submission before this clip even took place, but what he did was he took 3 battlecruisers, teleported in, all Yamato the Spire, the guy just tapped out. Because there's nothing you can do to stop that. Like, Terran have such disgusting precision capabilities with those units. So I'm excited to go play around with it when I get a chance. Thank you, G-Man Sizzle, for the Twitch Prime sub.
Nice. So it is CTs again. Now, this case sort of has not yet scouted that it's CTs. He's going to see the lack of a third base soon. You know, get like a ling on each third base and be like, okay, is it coming down? Is it coming down? Is it coming down? But he still has a good minute and a half, 2 minutes before he really has to worry about that. Ideally, he's either scouting the gas geysers, which all 4 are taken anyway, or he's literally going to the main base and seeing the gateway count. But he's being denied. This is vastly different than the Frozen Temple game.
Yeah. But this will also answer that question, like, will MaNa be directly going to DTs or directly going to Archons? If it's DTs, maybe you get in here and catch some things off guard. I mean, there are Spore Crawlers down, but it's limited in location and not that many.
Yeah. I mean, this is the best answer when you don't get a scout as Zerg player, is to put Spore Crawlers down.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier on in the day, right? That whole paranoia thing. You might not know what's going on, so it's just safe to put down Spore Crawlers. It's not too costly, and looks like it is just straight up fast Archons.
The chances of getting there without a spore crawler is, yeah, kind of low. As it is the coverall, like either going for Stargate or DTs, the spore crawlers will cover against both. If they went for, you know, an all gateway all in, okay, then you just, and that sucks. But this didn't even work out that well.
Is that just like already game? That was such a big dedication from MaNa, and he got nothing for it.
Yeah.
Like, what did he kill in total? 7 Lings for 2 Archons and a Warp Prism.
It's super unfortunate that he denies scouting. It still does nothing. In fact, it was worse than when it was scouted. Because now, of course, to see the 2 Archons try and drop, you figure out what the follow-up is. You're like, oh, it's that's what you're doing.
Oh, SortOf, by the way, threw down a very quick Baneling Nest. This is clever. I think you know that when that fails, your only option really is to make a lot of gateways and go for Adepts or Zealots, and frankly, the Overseer's going to scout that too.
Yeah, just because everything's confirmed. Already rebuilding a second Warp Prism, maybe that does a little bit more damage, doesn't just instantly die to Queens and a Spore Crawler.
There's still no third. I mean, SortOf's doing a really good job policing the outside of this right now, and this is going to be so tough for MaNa to do anything with. To answer question chat from Aerobic Throne, by the way, is BaseTrade going to cast the qualifications of IEM Korea? The answer is yes. 1 a.m. tonight Pacific, we'll be back to cast the IEM qualifiers. Also got a donation coming in with some nice claps in the background. Charlie Bit May donates $5 again and says, Chris is playing League of Legends. Traitor! I don't know who Chris is, but damn you, Chris! Quit playing League of Legends!
Who the fuck is Chris?
Chris is some schmuck who's not good enough to play StarCraft, obviously.
Clearly. Well, this game is going to be decided soon. MaNa's still on a third base. SortOf has Lings in preparation to like, kill it if he tries.
Good cancel on that transfer.
Yeah. The Banelings do not have their buff yet, by the way, but it still is, you know, just the fact that Baneling Hydra is going to be, in numbers, good against Adepts. Well, now the Adepts are all clumped up. The Banelings should be getting some pretty good hits, but they're not. Because he's focused over here, and he didn't build that many Banelings in the first place.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that these Banelings don't have that plus 10 health yet. You need centrifugal hooks to get the plus 10 health. So, regardless, these Adepts are not doing that great. I mean, 18 workers killed is great, don't get me wrong, but keep in mind, MaNa's still on 2 bases behind this. This isn't about doing a minor amount of harass. This is about winning the game, and he's down to 24 supply and not getting much for it. The few Banelings that are being made, though, are getting some connects. Hydras are cleaning this up, Queen's taking care of the Adepts, and that's kind of it for MaNa, I feel. Down to 6 supply. Jeez.
Yeah. Third base could come down now, I suppose, as the Lings went back home.
Mothership Core, Warp Prism, and a Stalker.
Yeah. The emergency DT, maybe turn them to Archons. I think that, like, trying to snipe the Overseer would be better than turning them into Archons. It's SortOf going to play the cautious game. I guess he realizes the Warp Prism's still out and about and would rather kill that first and then counter. Doesn't quite get the kill.
Shout out to Kitty the Neko for that 26 months. We know it's longer than that. He reminds us 35 months. Thanks for remembering, Rifkin. Yeah, dude. I remember. You had that one like month of hiccups. I got you. I know what's up.
He preempted you. It's amazing.
It's amazing or it's rude. I don't know. You just assume Rifkin's too silly to know. Alright, so the Warp Prism's going to try and do something here. Ling's still running around the map. Pick off the probe. I mean, they're not going to shut down the base, but again, reality sets in. 9 minutes of MaNa still doesn't have a third finished up. Does not put him in a good spot. The Warp Prism goes down. So do the Adepts. The Hydras are going to be too much. And that 74 army supply is just so daunting to look at.
Yeah. That was probably the killing blow. Not the actual army engagement, but the Warp Prism letting SortOf take the army engagement. Because now he feels totally confident moving out. He probably could have, and just depended on reinforcements, you know, a minute ago, because he was in a really good position. But the point is now he feels super comfortable. And Baneling speed's finishing up, upgrades on the way. This is all his game.
So we mentioned Chris and chat, and everyone immediately went to Huck. I guess it's like the one Chris everybody knows. I actually was thinking this is some sort of inside joke to Mr. Boris Makarov, because his name is Chris as well.
Right, I was starting to think about all the Chris's. Like, I have a friend named Chris, and he plays Brood War, so...
Santa Claus, his name is Chris Kringle.
Isn't his name Nick?
Old Saint Nick.
Who the fuck is Chris Kringle?
Isn't that Santa's name? Hang on, I'm gonna Google this right now.
It's the lead character in Miracle on 34th Street.
Kris Kringle is a name used in the United States and may refer to Santa Claus by simulation in the United States of the separate German tradition below. Kris Kringle, the lead. Wait, what?
So basically, America got it wrong. The Canadians got it wrong via proxy.
I guess.
His name is Saint. Like Nick and Chris aren't close.
Maybe it's one of those things where, like, you know, Richard becomes Dick when it gets like shortened.
That's the only thing that compares.
All right, this was a massacre, but I love MaNa's attempts to go for storms. I love the sentries. He made a lot of the right moves, but he's just too far behind in the game for any of them to matter. Bailing's rolling. GG. That's it. Series goes to SortOf, and MaNa is knocked out of top dogs, which is a little bit sad because I do really like MaNa. However, Zerg and the patch seem to be doing pretty good, and SortOf capitalizing on this gives him one last chance now in the group to go fight against Kelazur. And I believe this is a rematch of the first series today, even.
Yes, it is.
So we'll see if the reversal comes into effect or not. We are going to go to that extended break, though, while we get the vetoes sorted. I think we go back to North America for this as well, so I got to swap servers and restart my client and all that goodness. 4,000 viewers is fantastic. I'm so glad we got so many people joining us on the channel. I hope you guys are having a good time, but please stick with us. We'll be back in a bit. Before we do, thank you, Capricorn, for the 18 months, 1.5 years, like a boss.